Hi, hello. Okay, today we are going to start with this session. I recommend you that today's session is going to be very dynamic. We are going to close the topic of reporting with data reporting tools. Then we are going to move to input and output documents. And finally, we are going to make an introduction to what is called JavaScript. Okay, so today's session is going to be dynamic in that sense. We are going to explain many features and many benefits of using the reporting tools that we have in Process Maker. Okay, so I wish to know if you you tell me that you require some important details, if I remember, about using reports. That you wanted a tool for that because you needed for a sales report. Okay, today we're going to check a case of a sales report by using data reporting tools. Okay. Okay. Um, I have downloaded a file, and let me remember something. Data reporting tools is a tool that allows you to collect information and use it for reporting purposes. You're going to find plenty of options where you can start doing your own reports, and also you have the possibility to extract that information from another resource. Okay, yeah, okay, let's begin. Well, data reporting tools is an enterprise plugin, so you are going to need to enable that plugin, and since it is enabled, you are ready to use, and you are going to find it here, data reporting tools. Okay, something that you have carefully understand is that it's divided in three options, and in these three options you are going to see how you can handle your information. These three options are scope, report designer, and report user. In a scope, we are going to prepare a set of values, a set of data, where we are going to work on. Then in report designer, we are going to design our report, how we want to make it to look it. And finally, I'm going to close everything with the part of showing you the report, showing you the possibility to download that report. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to move to admin, and well, I'm going to upload a table here. I'm going to import that table actually. So I'm going to import that table, and it's going to be this one. Okay, and then I'm going to upload that one. Then you are going to see that the data is related to sales. It is a sales table. Now, since I have this file, okay, so it's a file, I'm going to move to home, And in home, I'm going to move to the scope. The scope is going to recover a table, and we want to be very selective with the type of data that we want to work on. So we want to work on a predefined subset of values that our table offers us. That means the scope. But this scope is going to be transversal. What it means that when I create this scope, from that scope I can create other reports. The scope just provides you a field of data. I'm going to click on create and write first scope name. You're going to find first that you need the definition. So I'm going to make sales report scope, and this is going to be this is a sales report scope. First thing that you have to add is the name and the description. Let's click on next. Okay, and now we begin to play a little bit with the table. If you see, 3 more options have been enabled: tables, report users, and report designers. I'm going to click on the table here and click on PMT sales. Okay, by doing that, I'm going to see that in PM tables, some columns have shown. These columns, I'm going to show you what are they, these columns. Let me go to the admin. These columns are represented here. We are talking about each one of these columns that you can see, for each one is going to contain some values. Those columns are represented here. I want to extract all the columns associated. So I'm going to click here, and there you have. When I click all the columns, it means that I'm going to include all the data associated to each one of the columns of that table. If that happens, you can check the preview and you're going to see all of this. Okay? Well, I want to make restrictions. What it means restrictions? Okay. If you see, we have for any year, okay? We have for any year this type of year. So I can make some restrictions. For instance, I can edit this one, add a filter, and I can make it PM tables and say I want the order date month to be December, for instance. If I choose December, you're going to find that now from the list is going to take just December, just the files with December, okay? Just with that. And you're going to see that across all the files. So just December is going to be taken into account. I'm going to take all these values, and the filters just represent that. If we check that from the SQL perspective, because this of doing the add filter, this option is called wizard, and the edit SQL is this one. I'm going to click, and this is the manual mode. So you have an SQL associated to that filtering. to that filtering action of the tables. So I'm creating now my subset of values. When that happens, you can click on wizard. Wizard means this one to make it from this button, or you can make it manual by editing the SQL. Okay, it tells me, can we add a group by in this request? What do you mean with that? I don't clearly understand that. You mean you can associate to many of these, for instance, many months? Sure, we can make something here. Okay, could you tell me? Could you write once more? Yeah, you can group everything by months. It's possible to do that. Um, by now, I'm just showing you the filter. Okay, all these sections, the designer, the scope design, scope construction, and the report design are going to take just the filter. Okay, then you're going to see that it's possible to associate um, months or products depending on that according to some affinity. We can do that. It's possible to do that. Actually, if we have this scope, we can take out now the filter, leave it with no filter at all. Okay, I'm going to take out the filter and just use the PMT sales and just that. Okay, now if that happens, okay, as I said, you can add a filter here. Okay, or just delete it. I'm going to use the report users. I'm not using at all. I am not using this type of filters. Okay, I'm going to use now report users. Report users means that people who are going to be associated, or who is going to have access to this scope. So among them, I'm going to choose my typical administrator. Okay. Finally, I move to the last tab, and it is this one. The last tab is going to be all of these available users. What it means this. Since I have a scope, I can start working on this scope by providing, and listen to that, one user. So a user is going to be responsible of making this design. So I'm going to click on here, the administrator user, and finish. Okay, so the scope is going to create this subset of values. When creating this subset of values, we are close to start working with that table. Okay, well, do you have any question until now? Is it clear everything? Yeah, well, let me remind you, the scope just creates subsets. It's not The intention is not the display of data. The scope is not intended, it's not constructed for the purpose of showing data, just creating a subset of values. That's something that you have to remember, to remind a lot. I'm going to move to the next step, report design. And again, I'm going to create. I know that a scope has been created, so I'm going to select that scope, and it's going to be the sales report scope. I'm going to call it like that, sales report. Okay, and the description is going to be this one. This is a sales report. Now look at this, it has all these advantages. I'm going to define a scope. I am creating based on that scope. I'm going to create a report and create a description. Since that happens, I'm going to click on next, and there you have. You're going to have a plenty of these options. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to add a filter. Okay, just a moment. Sales report scope. That's fine. Something is missing. My excuses. Yep, I didn't select everything. I'm going to click on next and save it. Okay. I'm going to the report designer, and in here I'm going to start to work there. Okay, now I am in tables. From the report designer, what I try to do is to select the columns with which I am going to work. I can select all of them or some of them. So in this case, I'm going to select quantity. I'm going to select the customer name, the product name. I'm going to select the month, and I'm going to select the product category. In alias, I'm going to give a label to each one of the columns. So what happens if you go here and make the preview? You're going to see everything with these labels that are not very friendly. Okay, so you have to change that. So I'm going to click here on the alias, and I'm going to write month below category, then quantity, then customer name, then product name, and so on. Okay, we can check that, the preview, and you can see that I'm using these values. And since I selected some of the columns, and these columns have alias, you can see now the results here. Okay, that's important to notice. I'm going to select year. Okay, year. Okay, so now we have completed the table. Now let's begin with something very interesting. I'm going to add a filter here and select a column. And I'm going to select the column of month. And now I'm going to enter the value as December. I can use some restrictions with some variables. Okay, it's valid also. I'm going to save it. And the preview, you are going to see that all the data who are for December are going to be displayed in this table. I'm going to close it and go to next. Okay, now you have this, the administrator. I am in report users. It means people who are going to be involved, who are able to see this report. Okay, and I just have the administrator user by default. I'm going to click this, and here you are going to see the manager of. What it means this: I can select a group, and this guy is going to be he's going to get access to see another one's report of that group selected. Okay, so he can see the reports of the members of a group when I select this report user. Okay, let's move to the last tab, and is gadget. What is gadget? Gadget is the graphical representation of all your data. You have gone through many steps, okay? You have accomplished many things, and now it is time to represent that as a table or represent that as a graphic. So both are included here. The gadget type is going to be a table. The group is going to be, for instance, I'm going to group everything in the product name. Okay, you said Raduan. Can this group? Yes, it can group by product name, and this is the option that I'm using. In gadget, when you want to group some data, you can use this option, group. Pages of size, the default order that I want. I wanted to make it by category and ascending. So the default order is going to be followed by this, the category of the product, and the direction is going to be ascending. So A, B, C, D, okay, alphabetical ascending. And well, I don't require filters. Let's see the preview. Now you can see all of this associated. But what happens if I'm going to associate with product name, for instance? Okay, not too much change. Maybe customer name. Excuse me, I'm going to use the product name and associate by customer name and make it preview. Okay, you can see the table as this way. I am grouping by customer name, and the products are going to be represented here. Okay, quantity, month, and everything that you can see. I can erase this and group it directly from here with drag and drop, and we can make these queries, okay, to represent our data. I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to add a filter. I can add a filter here. I'm going to finish with this report. What happens if I need to create another report? I'm going to create another report, a sales report, but now I'm going to base everything on graphics. It's going to be slightly different. So I'm going to be graphic sales report, and again I'm going to use this scope that you can see here, the sales report scope. No description. Again we move forward, and in this case I'm going to select the quantity. I'm going to select the month, then the customer name, then I'm going to select the product category, and so on. Okay, and the product name. Let's begin with that. The alias is going to be month here. Then I'm going to find here the category. Then here's quantity. Finally, you have customer name. Then you have the product name. I'm going to make this preview. Okay. And go to the next step. Again, I'm the available user because I selected for this report, I selected that some people are going to get access to this report, and the only one that I selected is my administrator. Finally, I move to the next step, it is the gadget step. Then I'm going to model this gadget type. So I'm going to select the charts. Then the chart is going to be horizontal bar. And the labels are going to be for instance, okay, labels, I'm going to use the product name, and in this series I'm going to use quantity. Bear in mind something, when I use labels I am identifying an item that contains quantities. I explain better. You are going to use labels when you want to associate a quantity to a specific item or a specific article. Yeah? Then you have the quantity here. Quantities are numerical. It is just numerical data. When this happens, we are going to see the preview. And well, I'm going to make some filters here. I'm going to add a filter to see better what is happening. Okay, it's better if we start using some filters because I have many data there, and it's not, it's not easier to handle that data. So I'm going to use again the charts and make the preview. Okay, just a moment. My product name, quantity. I think that I'm going to use another table more. Let me check that. No product name. Okay, yes, product name. No category associated. I'm going to use the sales that month as December. Save it. Okay. We check the preview and it is all this one. we move here, we move here, then we move to charts, and then we click the preview, and there you have it. I filtered the data because you saw it was a lot of data and it was not very legible. Okay, now by doing that you can see this representation. Okay, so I'm going to finish this report, and since I have access to both reports, I'm going to see that in the report user. So you can click in that report user and you can see this view report as you can see here, or I can return and move as graphic. We have some options like exporting as PNG, or in the case of this report I can export it as PDF. And there you have, this is the report by PDF. Okay, did you like it? Did you like this part of the report or not? Okay, here, well, you can make many things. You can use the grouping action by customer name, or you can group by category as you can see here. So it's a very interesting way that you can handle the information. You can export it as Excel, PDF, CSV. It's up to you. Okay. Well, now if I have the report, if I have the scope here and the tables, I can select another table from here, like city. And I can select here. And I can make some joins. Okay, I can make some joins, finding maybe a column, the intersection of both columns, and then I can associate both of them. That is possible to do it. Okay, so I can make some joins. Oh, maybe I'm not going to show you here. I'm going to create another scope called city scope. Okay, by doing that I'm going to click on next, then I'm going to select the country, then I'm going to select the city, and I can make a join. You know that both share the same column, and I can make them entering that way. We click the preview, and you're going to see that there is just one column country ID associated with both, as you can see here. Okay, so we can make inner joins, outer joins. It's the same idea that you use in SQL, that you can make it manually also. I'm going to make the difference. Report user is someone who is going to use that report. If I go to the scope in the sales and I go to the report users here, for instance, I'm going to include all the people here. Report users are people who are going to be able to use that report. Okay? See that report. In other words, to see that report. The report designer is someone who has the access of design of the report. That's the main difference. Report user, someone who sees that report or someone who sees that scope. Okay. Report designer is going to be the person in charge of the design, who is allowed of the design of reports. Do you have any question until now? Is everything clear? Okay, we are going to close this with one thing more. Yeah, so is everything clear? Radwan, is everything clear? Site, both. Is everything clear? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to close this part with one section more. No, one section, one detail that I want you to pay attention. You know that our database is this DBMS. Our database is going to be connected. Okay? If I click on tables here, you are going to notice that I have all these tables. And well, all these tables are not going to be represented here. And the data reporting tools is going to take from here the tables for the scope. If you see, all the tables that you can see here are part from here, from this part. Okay? Now, something that you have to do here is to think about how can I use some tables that are not here, but I need, but they are part of my database. I'm not going to export. It's very, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But for instance, I need the table application. So I know this is a little bit difficult, but I'm going to explain you very like that. You have to go, since it's a plugin, it has some a link with the core of Process Maker. This is a more the technical part, okay? But the point is that you have to go to the following direction. This is the core of Process Maker. Now I need to find the engine. Okay, I need to find the engine. Then I need to go to plugins, and all the enterprise plugins are going to work in this engine. Then I go to data reporting tools, or excuse me, I need to go to plugins. Okay, then I have to go here, and finally I'm going to, just a moment, from here I need to find the white table list. Just a moment. I'm going to click on config. Okay. And there you have. You have to click on here. And then we need to enter the table. The table is going to be application. That's the name. I'm going to save it. This is the name of the table from the database. I'm going to uncomment it and save it. Okay, let me see if that is correct. Okay, yes, it is correct. So let me see that right now. Going to move to the scope again, see the scope, tables. No, something is missing here. Just a moment. Config, okay. And well, I'm going to change the name, rename it. Okay, now it works. Yeah, I changed the name because I needed this extension, the in extension. I disabled the comment and then I added this table name application. When that is done, you move to process maker and you move to scope here. And there you have, application is received here. Okay. Okay. So is everything clear until now? Is everything correct? Okay. Now let's do some work. I'm going to make you go to Process Maker University. We are going to complete the section 4, database connections and reporting. You need to do this lab, data reporting tools, and you have to make the quiz. Okay, so are you there? Yeah, let's make the lab. 15 minutes for both data reporting tools and this quiz. Okay, 15 minutes. Okay, hello. Did you finish? Okay, let's open the quiz. Okay. Um, it says here. Well, I'm going to reattempt the quiz, and it says it's possible to use data from a PM table to define the set of options in a drop-down web control. Yes, true. You know that um, we have used a PM table, and with this data we populated a drop-down. So it's possible to do that. It's also possible to include some restrictions if necessary. Question 2, it says, it's possible to export a PM table data as a CSV file. Yes, true. While adding a new field to a PM table structure, it's possible to define size, field name, field label, and type. It's possible to define multiple dependent fields related to the same web content. Yes, there is no restriction about that. It's possible to include an SQL statement in a variable definition. True. Report tables export case data to be easily queried into Dynafirm fields and shared with external reporting tools. Yeah, report tables. We finish the attempt. Submit all. Okay, now it's clear. Well, I'm glad that we have finished this part. I'm going to proceed with the next part of this session. Okay, we usually use documents. And I mean documents, not the things that we are going to print from computer. I mean physical documents. Or, okay, it can be a digital document. It can be a PDF file where you have the contract and the physical sign. Either of our documents that we need to include in the process maker. If we have a process, for instance, if you're going to create a process for hiring someone, you need to hire someone, and you need a document where you're going to where you have the evidence of that contract. You know that it's a physical paper, but that physical paper we could make it scanned. And by making the scanning, it means that we can save it in process maker by using the action of input documents. At the same time, we want to use the evidence that we have and produce the documents from the process maker resources. And that means that we are going to gather all the data that we have, start constructing our own, if we can call it, our own data, and we are going to display it in a document. By doing that, we are thinking to work with this display, and for that we need some tools like HTML design. We need to invest on some other resources. So in this section that I'm going to explain, and I'm going to close today also, we're going to talk about input and output documents. Input document refers when we want to upload, we want to enter some data to process maker, but I mean a file, not data of typing, a file. And in the case of an output document, I'm going to create a document based on some data that I have. Okay, so in both cases, we are going to start working with it. Let's begin with the input document. I'm going to click on the input document and click the title. The title will be just input document. Okay, I'm not going to emphasize on that as a title, just input document, call it. And with this, what I try to do is to give a structure to our input document. And when I use this type of input documents, okay, this window allows me to enter some parameters, some details for constructing our input document, as you can see here. Then you have the document type that it would be digital or printed or both. And we want this file to have the original size. We have this description. This is an input document. We enable versioning if necessary because we may upload another version of the same document. But I'm not going to enable that version. Then I'm going to say this is the destination path, and I'm going to call it input document, and then the application number I can use, and then the tags are going to be input. While doing that, this tag means that this file, if I go here, okay, I move here, and just a moment, I'm going to move to application document. When I choose this and I choose a tag, it means that for searching that file, I'm going to use a type of tag. But just let me remember where I can find this document. Okay. A file is going to be associated with a tag if we need to, let's call it like that, if we need to search that document. So you can find here, for instance, the input document files. I don't have any one. But if I save this and refresh everything here, you're going to find that the tag is going to be important if I need to search in my database that file. Okay, that's why that I use a tag. Now, I am adding, apart from that, this point and asterisk to allow any extensions. I can use some type of extensions to be included for this input document. It means that I'm going to upload some types, a type of document, or some types of documents. And here is 0 to make it infinite, to make it unlimited, the size of that document. Then the unit is going to be kilobytes or megabytes. Okay, but in this case we can leave it because it's going to be unlimited. We can leave it with any of these units. Now think about that. This is the destination path. this destination path means that this file, when I upload, is going to create a directory here. Okay, so I'm going to include the files here, and they are going to have this type of file associated with these directories. Then, okay, with that, I have given this structure to the input document. Okay, I'm going to re-explain the path and the destination path and the text. This destination path is composed of a part static and this is dynamic because this variable is going to change. Okay, now this allows me to create a directory here in documents where I can store all the files. For each case, it means that I'm going to store that file. Now, notice something. All of this is the structure of the input document. And based on that input document, I'm going to upload files for each case. Exactly the way that we are going to store those input documents for each case are going to be stored in this destination path. That in this case I am making it specific because I am making it dynamic with this variable. Now in the case of tags I am adding input. What means this? That it means that the entire structure of the input document can be searched in this file, input document. And if you look in one of the columns of this file, it says input. It means that if I'm going to make a query and say search from the column input underscore doc tags from this file where input doc tags is input is going to find this file. Okay. Okay, so it is about that, how we can use the input documents. Well, so based on that fact, it means that if I am going to enter I'm going to make it very fast this, okay? If I'm going to assign that input document here, I'm moving forward to show you how it works, okay? I'm moving forward. I'm going to click here on assignment rules as the administrator user, and the same here, okay, and the same as here. Okay, so if I move to home here, click on new case and click on here, this is going to be the input document. So I have this input document, and this structure allows me to attach a file. That's an input document. It's just a structure, is an object of Process Maker that allows me to upload a file. Since I have all the extensions, I can upload this PDF file and save it. I can attach more, okay? And then move to next. I can download also the same file and I can attach the next step and continue. Now, that's an input document. I need to create another. I'm going to create another Dynaform And this Dynaform is going to be approve delivery, for instance. I'm going to save and open. And I'm going to use the same here of delivery form. I'm going to export it. Then use approve delivery. I'm going to import it. And look at this. I'm going to use this file upload with control. And this file upload with control is going to have a variable called upload file or upload files directly. And I'm going to choose it to be multiple file and save it. By doing that, I'm going to click on variable, select a variable, and this one. And the label is going to be upload files. By doing that, I'm going to click on here, okay? And it means that I can upload files. Now, this web control is going to be associated to an input document. So I'm going to associate with our recently created input document, the input document. So I'm going to click on input document here and save it. Okay, so now our Dynaform is saved, and I'm going to close this and go to home. No, excuse me, I'm going to assign it. For instance, I'm going to assign the approve delivery. Since I'm going to upload here in this Dynaform document, those documents are going to be transferred to this input document. So I'm going to click on home and click on new case. Then delivery package processes here, upload many files. Okay, I believe that they are too many. Okay. Well, let's go directly. I'm going to add here the name RA as an example. And you can see that the input document has received those 4 files. So that's what we use when we want to use a multiple file. It's going to be associated with an input document. So that's a wonderful tool if you need to associate instead of, again, entering a new file and another file. Okay? Now, in the case of versioning, I have vacation. Yeah, version 1. In the case of versioning, I'm going to enable versioning. Let me use, in steps, I'm going to remove this Dynaform. I'm going to re-enter the input document again here. And let's begin with that. I'm going to move to home and click on new cases and click on delivery package process again. And I'm going to attach a file like this one. And you can see that if I click on new version, I can attach the same file. And I'm going to have a second version. And well, I can attach a third file. And again, I'm going to have another version. So it's going to be a way that I can attach many versions. I can see the version history here and then download one of them. It looks like a DMS. Yeah, kind of. Kind of. Yeah, it's a kind of, but don't focus a lot on that. Okay. Yeah, with basic functions, it's but the intention is to make it this document management system. But it's not exactly like that, but we try to present some similarities. Okay, but it's not exactly the same thing. Yeah, with that. Now, is everything clear about this? Do you have any question? Okay, that's very important for me. I'm going to move to the last part of the output documents. Okay. Okay, so everything is fine here. I'm going to move to the next part. Um, just let's emphasize on something. I wish to work with it. We have here the hub designer dashboard and everything, and the input documents. Now we are going to check the part of output documents. It's a little bit complex, but don't be scary about that. There are things that we can do by using this type of output documents. So let's begin. I move to the designer, and again I move to the delivery package processes. You can see here. And my idea now, I used to have another idea before of using this delivery package and everything, this stuff. Now I'm going to move to another idea beyond that. And what it means is, I am going to use now the delivery package process, and I need to use the data and transfer it in a piece of paper, a digital document, to make it more updated. But a digital document is going to become a piece of paper. That's an output document. So I'm going to click on here on the output document, as you can see here, and click on the title. The title is going to be output document. Okay. By doing that, same criteria, but you're going to see that it's different. Oh, by the way, I forgot something to tell you. You know that I said the part of the documents. Okay, and you can see here all the documents that I have uploaded. And notice how it works. This is the destination path that I have assigned, and you can see that it is dynamic, as you can see here. Okay. Now the quotation marks can be subtracted if you're going to change the prefix. Let me explain that before entering to output documents. I believe that it's necessary to explain that. This is at app_number, okay? And with that we are okay. It is the typical, as you can say, it's the typical string with quotation marks. To avoid those quotation marks, I'm going to choose another process variable. I'm going to include it in the app number, and there you have. You are going to see that here I'm going to open a new case and upload the file. I'm going to upload this file. Attach. Okay, I'm going to attach a file. La France. Document ajouté. Ajouté. So now you can find the documents here. And now you can see that quotation marks have disappeared from our name of our file. Okay? Basically that. Okay. Well, I just wanted to show that specific part of using these files. Okay. Do you have any question? Yeah, it's a case number. I'm going to make a reference, and when you use the debugger, especially in the developer course, we are going to make the difference between an app number and the application, which is another. It's an application ID. Okay, both things are different, but they are going to identify the case. An application ID is going to be a large number, and a long number, and in the case of the case number, I'm talking about the simple number, case 31. Just that. Let's move on to the part of output documents, okay? Well, I was designing my output document, and again, you are going to give structure to the output document here. And now we are going to give here a name of the file. In the input document, you can't give the name of the file because the file has a name already. Okay? You upload the file. The name is there. But in output document, since we create that file, we need to modify, we need to change the name, or we need to create our own file name. So it's going to be output document underscore, and this is going to be the app number. And I say this is an output document. The report that generated, don't worry, is going to be the same. The other one is very old, so TCPDF. Don't worry about that. It's pointless to explain that. You just use by default TCPDF. Then the media. What it means is the sizes of our output document. So it can be letter, legal, and so on. So you have plenty of options where you can obtain that information. Then you have the orientation, and it's going to be portrait and landscape. Portrait is going to be the portrait, okay, and landscape is going to be horizontal. Portrait vertical, or landscape is going to be horizontal. So these are just features that we need to understand, but they are very basic, so it's not a big dilemma. Okay. Then we've got the margins, and in the margins we are going to specify left 20, right Right, 20, top 20, bottom 20. Enough. Output document is going to be to generate, okay, and this is going to be the PDF. I want to generate it as PDF, or I can make it as both. PDF security is not necessary because I can download the file directly. Enable versioning, okay, I want to make it yes. In here, you are going to see that I can open the editor. Well, let's go by steps. This is the structure, okay, is the structure of my output document. I need some destination path. You know what is the destination path? I have explained that. And the tags, it's going to be upload, for instance. You are going to retrieve this file by clicking on the download file, or it just opens directly. I'm going to say the structure is in the edit, but we are not designing the file yet. The file is not designed. To design the file, I need to click on open edit, and here I'm going to use all the ideas of using HTML, adding some tags, adding some information, and you are going to find here this design space allows you for a creativity because it has an HTML design. Let me show you an example here where you're going to find, for instance, you're going to find in the stock value deduction that you've got the steps, and if you click on edit, you are going to find this nice design. You click it and it's going to be an HTML. So people who are expert in front-end and HTML design, this is going to be a dessert for them. It might be different if you don't use an HTML. So you can upload also as plain text that file. So you can use either. So you can use HTML or plain text. Both are valid in these designs. Now I'm going to run this case. I'm going to run this case that you can see, the stock value. And you're going to see now the outcomes here. 3 of them are output documents. I'm going to click on home. They have their own configuration, okay? So I'm going to click here. Oh, my excuses. I'm going to click on stock VAT declaration 150. Okay, cons. Then move. Oh, my excuses here. Something is missing. Just a moment. I'm going to check something here. Okay. Oh, I don't have that plugin. Okay, it's an example with, and the plugin is not here installed. So that's why it doesn't work. But do you understand the idea? If I assign, for instance, let me check another process that I have here. I'm going to use an output. No, not here. I'm going to use an output document here. Okay, I'm going to use the output document that you can find in here. The same edition, but obviously I'm going to change some things. But just as to show you that, okay? Okay, I'm here and I'm going to click on HTML and add all this. Okay, and update it. Now, notice something. These are variables that we can add from here. So I can add, for instance, the total amount. The rest of the values I'm not going to have. I don't have the rest of the values. But I know that I have these values here, the total, and the rest are not part of our process and they are going to be empty. But this one is part of our process here. So there is no worry about that. If I go here and run the case and run it here in delivery field delivery form, next step, then approve it. Okay, I forgot something here. And it's going to be approved delivery here. Okay. And I need an output document, and in the output document I try to reflect not the total. Instead of that, I'm going to reflect a name. I'm going to reflect the total is fine. And then I can use the product type, for instance. And here I'm going to modify this as total amount. I'm going to modify it directly from here, okay? The total is this one, and here I'm going to modify the product type. And let's begin with that. Okay, and update it. And then I'm going to modify. I prefer to do it directly from the HTML because it reports you some advantages. So I prefer to use this one. And here's total size. And here I'm going to make it product type. Okay, I prefer because I don't want to corrupt all the styles that I have in my table. And I can say here the following quantities according to the values in our delivery form. Okay, I'm going to update it and save it. That output document is going to have a presence here. I'm going to remove this and put the delivery form at the beginning. I'm going to run the case. Okay, it's going to be Immanuel Kant, that's the name of the person who is going to deliver this, and is going to be Kant at processmaker.com. I'm going to make it national. September, okay, the fonts, Toulouse, okay. And again, this is going to be a TV, the size is this one, the quantity is this one, okay. I'm going to submit. And now we can see. We download the output document. And there you have, well, it has some problem with that. Okay, yeah, something was not very well done. Just a moment. Yeah, the delivery type, that was missing. Just a moment, just a moment, okay? The delivery type. Okay, instead of product type, I'm going to include the delivery type, okay? The delivery type is going to be included here. Okay? Well, I'm going to add this as a label. And the total, okay, I'm going to leave it as that way. The total is not going to be calculated, but look at the delivery type. I'm going to include this national and here a name array. I'm going to submit. Okay, yeah, it's not getting that image because the image that I found in that output document is from another place. Okay, maybe I can show you a brief example from another machine that I have here, another virtual machine. We're going to make it fast. Here I have a process that contains all that information, and you are going to see how it works now, the part of using output documents. So just a moment, I'm going to enter to process maker and add my credentials. My apologies with the other process, but the business rules were not working, applying that I need. Okay, I'm going to enter a new case, then I'm going to declare the stock value. And notice this. Well, this process consists of making a deduction based on a contract. So in this case, I'm going to enter 150,000 euro for France, and I'm going to continue. Then you are going to see some calculations based on that value, and the output document is going to show me those transformations here. Okay, it's not obtaining that document. Okay, just a moment. I'm going to eliminate that. Just a moment, okay? It's not obtaining a value that I. Okay, I'm going to eliminate this. Those are details that I'm taking care of my files, okay? I'm trying to eliminate those details because it makes no possible the creation of our file. Okay, by moving again, I'm going to move here, home, click on new case, or just follow the same file, the same case that I have followed, this one, and marketing. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to. Just a moment, it's going to be here. A change that I'm going to do here. I'm going to eliminate all of this. Okay. I believe that with that we are relaxed. Let's. Oh my god. Just one moment more. Okay? The point is that I have added images to my output document that they are no longer available. Okay? That's why that I use this type of images. Uh, okay, just a moment. Okay, I'm going to erase all of this here. I'm going to update and save it. Let's go here and search for that case. Okay, now we can see the PDF file. The point that those images are no longer available, so I'm going to open it, and there you have. This is the output document. Okay. Okay. Well, I know that it was very small, but it shows like that. I'm going to close this virtual machine. Okay. Based on that, I think that we can continue with one of our labs here. Let's begin with this lab. I'm going to move to the architect course, and I'm going to enter to this section, input and output documents. I need this section, and in this section I'm going to enter to this lab and this quiz. We have to do both things. Okay? Is that fine for you? Okay. This lab and this quiz, please. Both things we have to do. Okay? Let's do it 15 minutes for both. 15. Okay? See you. Bye. Uh, I will explain something about templates, and then we are going to take a break. But first do the lab. Okay? The lab and the quiz. We are going to review the quiz, then we are going to explain something about the templates, and then we move to another place. Okay? So, can we begin? Okay, 15 minutes. Hello? Hi. Hi. Hello? 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 Um, can anybody hear me? Did you finish the lab? Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me? Hello? Okay, I'm going to continue with I'm going to check the quiz, and then after checking this quiz, I'm going to take a time off with the break. But let's check the quiz, some part of templates, a section on templates. Let's check the quiz, and then we go to break. Okay. Um, okay, let's move on. Let's solve the quiz. Okay, I'm going to reattempt the quiz. It says an output document template can include system variables, custom HTML code, images, and case variables. It's possible to reference system and case variables into output document templates. True. It's not possible to set an input document. Excuse me, it says it's possible to reference system and case variables into output document templates. True. 3. It's not possible to set an input document file size to unlimited. False. Output documents can be generated as PDF files and doc files. While creating a new input document, it's possible to enable file versioning, define a maximum file size, set allowed extensions, and download a sample document. No. Let's finish the attempt. Okay, we are correct. Yeah, well, I'm going to explain a little bit about that to close. Let's explain this part of using templates. Templates are going to work in the same way of using. So, for instance, I'm going to use this as template. Okay, and then I'm going to enter just as a way. I'm going to enter R, for instance. By using that, it means that this template I can download. Okay, and if I download this template, imagine that I have an email message here. I edit the properties. I can upload that file. It means I can upload that template. And this is the template that I can upload here. Okay, so that's a template. It's not different from what we have seen in Process Maker and output and input documents, especially in output documents. It's going to work exactly the same, no difference at all. That's a template. Do you understand this part? Is everything clear about that? Okay, so I wish to emphasize on something very important. Um, when we talk about the all of this, okay, when we talk about the input output documents, we have some keywords. These keywords are going to be the use of, for instance, the use of some important features in Process Maker like templates, HTML code, some versioning, and so on. So you're going to find a set of words that we use in Process Maker to emphasize some aspects about all of this. So, well, we have finished a half of the sections of the course. The next 2 days, because we're going to have 2 days in architect. We're going to have a course, we're going to have the part of JavaScript today. On Friday we are going to explain JavaScript and PHP with triggers, and on Monday we are going to close everything. We are going to make the summary of everything, and also we are going to learn some techniques. We are going to learn some new features that are going to add value to our work. When I say to our work, it means that I'm going to add value to our process. 20-minute break, okay? And then we continue with JavaScript. 20-minute break. Is that fine? Hello? Okay, 20-minute break. Okay, hello. How are you? Fine. Hello. How are you? Hello. Is there anyone? Hello? 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 Hi? Is there anyone? Hi? Hi, hello, 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 everyone. Hi, hello, 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 could you hear me? Hello? 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 Is there anyone? Adwan? Said? Are you there? Hello? Hello? Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, now, yeah, it was a very long break. How are you? Fine? Well, okay. Um, let's continue with one of the topics. But I was writing to you, and well, you were not there. So okay, so you can see also the chat. I was writing if you were there, and well, I tried to check if you were available with that. Well, my apologize to be very insisted to insist a lot on that. Okay, we're going to talk about a very technical topic, if I can call it like that. It's the JavaScript. Do any one of you have knowledge of JavaScript? Do you know something about JavaScript or not? Yeah, well, I'm going to start doing it, and I need to create a process. This process is going to be called JavaScript, okay? And I'm going to create this JavaScript. Well, let's see how I can work with this. Okay, Let's see that. I'm going to write here a Dynaform. I'm going to click on a Dynaform, and it says JavaScript examples. Okay, I'm going to save and open, and I'm going to start designing. I need a drop down. I'm going to create this Dynaform with the purpose to show you the options that we can have by applying JavaScript. Okay, so you are going to see plenty of options with which we can work and we can develop all these Dynaforms. So I'm going to create this variable, and the variable is going to be, the name is going to be contractor, and this contractor is going to be a string and is going to receive define accepted values, and the label is going to be yes, and the key is going to be 0 for no. Typical thing, binary logic, Boolean interpretation. Then I need a text box, and the text box is going to be contractor name, and I'm going to save it. And finally, I need to use the submit button here. Well, excuse me, this is not a variable. My excuses. But since we have everything here, we can start with the design of our Dynaform. This design of our Dynaform consists of, we are going to add here the contractor, and the label is going to be this one, contractor. Then I'm going to move to text box here, the contractor name, and this is going to be the contractor name here. And finally, I'm going to add the submit button here, the submit button here, the contractor name, and here the contractor. Okay, so I have full of this, and save it full of this. Okay, we are going to see the preview. Okay, so we are ready to work. JavaScript is a language, an object-oriented language with which we are going to extend the functionality of front-end properties of our Dynaform. It's not exclusively for that, but by now in the architect course, try to take into account that JavaScript is going to enhance the functionalities of our Dynaform. Now, we are going to talk about the main key concept called DOM, Document Object Model. And inside this, my DOM is going to be this Dynaform. And inside this Dynaform, I'm going to have elements, objects. And these objects are going to be my web controls. Okay? Those web controls are going to allow me to have some modifications. Since we follow the logic of using the object-oriented programming, we're going to modify the state by applying some methods. And so, people who are very well educated in object-oriented programming, they are going to notice clearly what we do with JavaScript. This is a way to make the theoretical introduction to this part. I want to mention and divide, but not divide exactly, to emphasize on both things explained by JavaScript examples that we are going to show today. And well, Bear in mind, we will use two types of libraries for JavaScript. The first one is going to be jQuery, and the second one is going to be Backbone. Both libraries, the libraries we use for JavaScript, are going to be assisted by our codes. We're going to write some code and so on. So let's begin with that. I'm going to start with our first lesson. Well, first example. To include the code, you need to click here. We click here for JavaScript code inclusion, and there you have it. You're going to have a space where you can add all the JavaScript code. And let me write the first example for writing this code. It's going to be this one. Function show or hide description. Okay, and then I'm going to use here an if, and this is going to be the contractor. Then you have get control here. Then you have this, and then you have all of this. Then you have this. And then you have show, and then you have else. Okay, writing the code. Simply that. I'm writing the code. I'm going to explain what happens behind the action of this code. I'm going to explain after writing the entire script. So let me continue with this code, and then we're going to emphasize, we're going to point out important aspects about using this code. So we've got here the country name, and hide it. And finally, you've got here to include the, I'm going to call this function. I wrote the function, and now I need to apply this. But to avoid some problems, I'm going to just copy the function here. You don't need any arguments because in our function we haven't defined any argument at all. And then I'm going to include this, the contractor here, and then it says change, and then we say okay, we want this change to be done by this function, and have a happy day with that. Okay, how it works. This thing that you can see here, and I'm going to, okay, this is the way that our library jQuery identifies, okay, identifies an object. And what is an object in this case? When I call contractor, I am using the ID. This ID contractor represents this web control. This is the ID. And the syntax that I use, this syntax, is this one that complies with the syntax that we require for jQuery library. So in that case, I'm just using $sign, in parentheses, quotation marks, sharp contractor. So I'm using that. Okay, I'm using this type of syntax to mention this object. Now, since this object is selected as this way, I want to obtain the control. And then I'm going to obtain the value of that control. And I say if it is equal to 1, this means if it is equal to yes, contractor name, another object, this one, is going to be displayed. I say show, else I'm going to use, if it's selected no, it's selected 0, contractor object changes a value to 0, I'm going to hide the contractor name. Okay, so okay, it's hidden. But all of this is the function. We're just mentioning the function. And here I'm going to call the show or hide description. I'm going to call the function, call it, and below I'm going to see apply this function as a change with this function. And that's enough. I'm going to save it and see what happens. If I select to no, contractor name disappears. Yeah, if I select to yes, contractor name shows up. What happens if I fail with the syntax? For instance, this is going to happen when your JavaScript is not correctly written. Okay, so I'm going to hide all of this. So basically we follow this pattern, we can call it, this pattern of using constructions, of constructing your JavaScript. One thing that you have to notice is this, the contractor name. The contractor name is going to be disappear according to JavaScript, as I said before. But okay, I'm going to organize a little bit the ideas. We are using the IDs. That is something that you have to remember. We are using the IDs for this purpose. When we understand this idea of using all the IDs and constructing the dynamo based, constructing the functionality of JavaScript, the addition of JavaScript based on the ID, everything is going to become simple. We don't need a variable, we don't need a label, we need the ID. jQuery, the library that I'm using, uses this way to identify a web control, or let's call it in a technical way an object, is going to use this $sign, parentheses, quotation marks, then the sharp sign, and then contractor. Okay, so that's the way that we can talk about process maker in that way. Well, No, it's just of using these values. Okay, and well, it's all these values that you can see about that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you have any question? Because this is like the beginning of JavaScript. It's like we are pushing the door, to understand, and also programming, because we are starting right now with the part of programming. Um, do you have any question about this? Is it everything clear for you? No questions at all? So I believe everything is clear. Uh, can we continue with the next example? Is that correct? Can I continue? Okay, I'm going to edit here. Now let's emphasize on another case, another example. Okay, now I'm going to use the CSS styles. You know that there are CSS styles, and I'm going to modify these styles. I'm going to write again a function, and it's going to be the same name, show or hide description. Then I'm going to apply here an if, and this is going to be a contractor. Okay, I'm going to get control, then value here. Same typical idea that we have gone through. Then form, then here find, then close this, point here as CSS, then we click on here as background color, and our background color is going to be this one, FF6600. Then I close it this. Okay, same idea, but now the reference is going to be different. I'm going to change right now. I'm going to change the CSS styles with the same idea. Let me continue with that. It says contractor name. Then you have here blue. and you close this, then you close that, then you add here the show or hide description. It's here, and this is going to be contractor. Then close it, then make the change here and use this as show or hide description. Okay, well, same idea. You are going to pick up an object, and in this case is our drop down contractor. And by doing that, you know that contractor has two values, 0 or 1, yes or no. And depending on that, I'm going to change the background color. So it means that, and I want to explain this specific part, in here I'm going to use this part form, if you can look at it. From the DOM, the document object modeling, I want to obtain the form. And I'm just taking a class, a form. From that, I'm going to obtain the find. And in the find, I'm going to obtain the contractor name. And in the contractor name, I'm going to obtain the CSS. And the CSS is going to be this background color. Else, another thing is going to be contractor name, CSS, background color. So it means that from this class, we want to find contractor name, this web control, this object, and then the CSS. Then you have the contractor name here, it's else, and then here the else. I'm going to save all of this and see what happens. Okay, it can be also a rainbow of colors, but okay, I have decided to just use two colors. Is everything clear about this? And just using the binary relation, now that yes, no, then I modify the color or show or hide and so on. So you are going to find a plenty of possibilities by using the JavaScript examples, and you just can use the typical structures of programming, the loops, the if statements, and so on. Obviously, there are more complex structures. You know that when on Tuesday we have checked this part of using panels, and we included a very long code of JavaScript. That is also possible. So if you have strong skills in using JavaScript, this is going to be a paradise for you. So I know that Radwan, you are the part of the IT department. Do you focus more on PHP, backend, frontend, JavaScript, or maybe you know Ruby? I don't know. Do you know another language? Backend. Okay, that's fine. For front end, in this case, let me Java, C, and C++. Yeah, you are going, the language of backend of Process Maker is PHP, but there is a technique that you can use the REST structure to use Java or C++. Okay, so there is a technique. Then one thing more about front end. If you find someone who is going to be interested in using JavaScript, and one thing that you have to understand, you include JavaScript. Okay, you can make also API calls. That's possible in JavaScript. You can make a call in API and populate a DynaF or I don't know. You know, an API is going to receive, with the help of Ajax, it's going to receive some outcome, and then you make wonderful things with JavaScript. Let's continue with the rest of this. Okay, just a moment. Okay. Um. Well. I'm going to explain another examples. Let me check for a while. I'm going to explain another example here of JavaScript. Now it's time to talk about the backbone library. Backbone library is a little bit different in the way that you are going to show this information. So let me check this part of the backbone library. So I'm going to use here. Okay. In the backbone library, what you can make is you're going to call in a different way the object. I'm going to write the following example. Function, okay, setting changes. It's a very simple example, okay? It's a very simple one. Setting changes. Going to setting changes here. And by setting, I'm going to include right now the code. Going to be get field here. By ID. Contractor name. The ID. Then set value. Here, I'm going to set the value process maker. And then I'm going to call the function setting changes as here. and then setting changes. Okay, instead of using the jQuery library as I used before, I'm going to use now the get field by ID, contractor name, set value, process maker. Okay, instead of using that, I'm going to use the get field by ID, and here the name of the ID, contractor name, get field by ID, and I'm going to set the value in process maker. Then I'm going to close the function. And you know this, setting changes, contractor change, okay, setting changes. Okay, so I'm going to click save it, click on here, and there you have it. Okay, okay, now I'm going to use another example. This example is going to be the get field by attribute. Okay, I'm going to create a var here and a fields, a variable for JavaScript, and I'm going to say that this variable is going to save some objects with this full span. I'm going to make it for I, this is a loop, for I equal to 0, I a fields length then I plus plus a fields I dot L dot child nodes excuse me, nodes, child nodes 1 point style point background color, this is blue, and so on. Okay, by adding all of these, what I try to do is uh, by adding all of this, what I try to do is to store some objects in this part, Okay, I'm going to store some objects, and based on that I'm going to be able to make some modifications if necessary. Okay, okay, look at this. I am storing all these attributes. Okay, I'm going to store all the fields with the attributes with the call span 12. Then I'm going to make a loop to see all these type of A fields from 0 to the length of A fields. Okay, so it means that the count is going to be to 0 to the size, to the length of A fields, and we are going to loop. If the term is correct, we are going to loop all these fields and one by one. And then here I'm going to apply some modifications depending on the background code. So if I save, you're going to see there is a problem yet. Just a moment. Child nodes, that's fine, it's one. Style, then background color equal to blue, that's fine. Fields, here, child nodes, one. Style, background color equal to blue. Length A++, full span here. Fields. I'm trying to correct if there is something missing here. Going to be blue, okay. Field, just a moment, I'm going to check the code for a while, okay? Now let me save and see. Okay, now it works. What happens that any field has some call span, and in this case, if it is 12, all those call spans are going to be painted as blue. But what happens if I'm going to modify my design? I'm going to add here 4 text box. For instance, I'm going to define 3, and I'm going to use 4 text boxes or text area or any other web control. And then in JavaScript, I'm going to say to apply this for call span 3. It means this row. Save it and then send it, and then you can see that now it has received this type of modification. Did you understand this part? Is everything correct with that? Is that correct for you? Hello? Okay, so hello, hello, are you there? Are you there? Do you understand this part? Okay, that's fine. Well, it's JavaScript. Okay, so well, let me do because we have some minutes here, and there is no sense to make some other comments, to make some other examples because we are going beyond the limit of time. Let me make the final comments on this. Well, we have gone through first data reporting tools. And let me remember you that when we went through data reporting tools, you know that we have seen a set of actions to be taken. And first of all, we are going to do the scope. The scope is just a subset of the set of values with which we want to work and do reports. So you can see here on the edit button that you have all of these scopes: the definition, the tables, the report users, the report designers, and so on. So we have all these plenty of options here. And well, definition, table, report users, report designers, and so on. Uh, well, by using that, you are going to see the tables, you are going to see the report users, and then the report designers. And well, each of them are going to be configurations that we require to obtain our final product, which is our report here. And we have seen that we have two styles: the graphic and the table. So in both cases, you can use the table and the graphics. Both are valid, but it depends on your requirements and on your needs. We have gone also in the part of designer two types of documents that we can require. The first one was the input document with its features, is where we upload a document. And finally, we have checked the output document. The output document has its rich in details in the sense that we can provide here an HTML resource where we can start doing the output document and constructing the desired outcome that we require. So with that taken into account, I think that we can say that with this, Process Maker is fully equipped with interacting with final users in the sense of uploading documents and obtaining documents from there. It's just one comment that I say, and well, instead that. Finally, we have seen the part of JavaScript like here, and well, nothing to say. It's just making some examples and start working with it, and then we are going to see the modifications that are relevant to find solutions for JavaScript. Okay, I think that it's for all. I think that we can close this session. Okay, see you on Friday. Thanks. See you on Friday.